You have that
Hi. Hello, everyone. Welcome again to day 4 of Power's Beginner course, and we are so excited at how we have been going. Hi, David. How are you doing today? You are muted, David.
hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good today. I'm actually very excited for today's class. We have a lot to go through today. We are going to be talking about variables. We are going to, do one or two things with forms and other things. It's going to be very exciting. So yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you so much, David. So, guys, you know how we do it. Let's just quickly go and do a little bit publicity and say where you're joining us from. We want to see where you're joining us from. So, guys, where are you joining us from today? We're so glad to have you. We want to hear from you. Where are you joining us from? Where are you joining us from? And let's do a tweak to that. What are you expecting to learn today, right? What are you expecting to learn today? We want to hear from you. We have what we're going to show you, but what are you expecting to learn? Yes, I see somebody. Pius has been with us from the first day. So, guys, I see more people. Tell me where you're joining from. Tell me what you are. Yes, Pius. I see Emmanuel from Lagos. I've been seeing Emmanuel. I've been seeing Pius. I see Lawrence. Lawrence, hi from Lagos. All right, guys. We are just going. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we're just going to quickly take it up because all the things we want to show us today is a lot. All right. So I'm adding my screen, and I'm going straight to apps. Now, some people have told us that they want us to calm down a little bit. They want us, some people really want to be able to, um, some people want to be able to, okay, so I can see Yemi Sadiq from UK. I've been seeing Yemi too. All right. So I see that a lot of people have said that, oh, Lola and David, can we just do a tweak to this a little? Can you catch me up from where I am? So I'm just going to start again. We're going to build another app again from scratch. We're going to do the same things that we did in the previous days, and we are going to switch it up. All right. So, all right. This is where we are. Now we want to just build another app from beginning. So I'm just going to click on create app and I'm going to select Canvas app to build. So I will say day 4, Canvas app beginners. I'll just say day 4 Canvas app. All right. Day 4. Oh, day 4. Can I just say day 4? Yeah. So day 4 Canvas app beginners. The format is going to be tablet and I'm just going to click on create. All right, so I have a blank app. What do I want to do with my blank app? Remember, part of the things we did is what? To add a color. So I'm just going to come here, come to fill here, and I'm going to be adding a color, right? But on the second thought, I'm going to show you guys how to add color in case you're, so now the essence of this is so that you are employable, so you get a job, you're perhaps junior developer and the customer is saying I have my own color code. The color code that they have, it might not be any kind of color on Power Apps, or there might even be colors on Power Apps, but it might be maybe a shade lighter or a shade lower. How do I write this? How do I do it? So here is it. And I'm going to go to my browser and I'll just type in, let's see what we have on color wheel. All right, so we have these different images. Okay, so what we are trying to do is we want to get colors, right? We want to get different kind of colors and all of that. So what we are just going to do now is we are going to get a website that can give us different kind of color codes, right? Okay, one of the website that we can also use for this one, I'm just going to search for color codes. Okay, yes. So we have different ones that can give us different kind of color codes, and from this one, I'm going to search for UI gradient. Yeah, awesome. So this UI gradient, I actually use them for gradients. So they will give me different kind of color codes and all of that. Now, imagine your client has given you a color code that looks like this, right? The color code looks like this. Let me bring in a label. Okay, remember label control is used for showing something, right? So I'm just going to paste this inside. So imagine that our customer has given us what? They've given us, so I'm making it very big so that we can see. So I'm trying to explain a concept here and I would like that you stay with me. So imagine they've given us and they tell you, oh, this is my color code. This is actually hex value, right? This is my color code. What do you do with this? How do you bring this into Power Apps? Okay. So I'm going to show you other ways to, sweet ways to do that. So we also have this. So this is showing us different kind of color codes. Look at them. You can see all of these colors. There are different kind of color codes. So your customer can have any of these colors, right? And they will just give you, okay, this is the color that is related to our own brand. We want you to build something for us. Say we want you to build an application for us using these colors. So now what we are going to do is we're going to look for a very beautiful color here, and we are using this green color. So I've copied it, and that is what you have on Power Apps. So what I want to do now is I want to turn my screen color, right? The background of my screen, I want to turn it to this color. Here is one way that I can do that. I go to my screen and I go to fill. Remember that the fill property is actually what changes the background color. So now the default color that comes with this is it comes in RGBA, right? But then this is X value that they've given me. How am I going to write it? Basically, if you type in color value, right? If you type in color value, you can actually copy whatever X value that's been given to you. So I'm copying this guy. I'm going back to my screen. You select your screen. Remember the fill property of my screen, and I've typed in color value, right? And I'm going to now put it inside, put this X value that they've given me inside the color value in a text format. Remember, David has taught us about string. He taught us different data types. String is one of them. How do we write something in a string value, right? In a string format, this is what to do. Double quote. Inside the double quote, paste the X value that you've been given and put in the bracket. Ooh, you have your fill, right? This is very beautiful. Now, anytime that you bring in your screen into this app, so if I bring in another screen, blank screen, it's going to come as the default white. What do I want to do? I have to go to the fill property again, right? I have to go to the fill property again and clear out what I have here. Do the same thing, color value. Okay, color one. Now, don't put you, it would give you the wrong, it will flag you, right? This is what you understand, color value. Then put in string and put in this. Awesome. You have this already. Now, what if you don't want to be writing color value and writing this every time? What do you do? So I want to teach you, one of the things that we want to teach you today is what we call what? Variable. All right. So I'm going to type in what we want to teach you in here. We want to learn variable. This is what we want to learn. So now in Power Apps, right? We have two major type of variable. Now, what exactly is a variable? A variable is a container where you can store things. So there are different types of variable in Power Apps, right? So arguably, some people can say a collection is a variable. What does a collection do? You might ask. Okay, Lola, you have said a variable is a container where we can store a value. So what does? And variable concept is not just in Power Apps. Variable concept is a programming concept. Anytime you hear variable, is a container where you can actually add values, right? You can put a value. So see it as a cup, right? I can put water inside my cup. So my cup is the variable, and what is housing at that time is water. Or I can say, okay, this cup, oh, I want you to store the temperature of water. The temperature of water can be hot or can be cold, right? So it depends on whatever you want to store inside where? Inside your variable. Now, I was saying that arguably some people would say that a collection is a variable. What does a collection do? We use collection to actually store information, right? Basically, you're storing something inside. So the major ones that we're going to look at today, we're going to be looking at the local and the global variable. All right. So now, what do we want to look at today? We want to look at local and global. Awesome. So we want to look at variables. We want to look at local and global. What exactly is a local variable? A local variable is a variable that you can have access to within a screen. So for instance, I'm going to show you what that means. This is my screen one. Okay. I don't want to go ahead and be calling this color value every time. So let's do something very realistic now. I want to bring in 5 text label control. Label control. So I'm bringing in 5 label control. This is the 4th one, and this is the 5th one. Okay. So I have 1, I have 2, I have 3, I have 4, and I have 5. So these are my label controls. I want to put in color inside each of the label control. Okay. I don't want that I would have to come inside the label control and go to the field property, and have to clear this and say color value. So one of the color value that I know um of, and I just know it is, if I am not wrong. Oops. Okay. I have to put hash. Awesome. Yes, that's white. I'm a designer. All right. So now I don't want to come in here and have to do color value and type this color every time. Can I just save this color inside of a variable? So off my head, I will just call the name of the variable. For instance, if I store color white, this value, if I store it inside a variable and I name the variable my white, anywhere that I call my white inside of this screen is going to answer me. Call and response. All right, so let's try it out. How do we actually write a variable? So in the context of my screen, this is my screen, right? So I will say on the visible of my screen. Remember, David taught us events, right? Events. So we looked at event of form yesterday. Sorry, on Saturday. We said event of form can be on success. Event of form can be what? On failure, right? And there's one third one. Who remembers? Put it on the chat box if you remember the third one that David taught us. On success, on failure, there's a third one that he taught us. Put it on the chat box. Now, a screen also has events. What are the events that a screen has? There's the invisible, there's the unhidden. So I'm going to use the invisible, and I will say whenever this screen is visible, I want to now create a variable. Remember, we said we are looking at what? First, the local variable. So now I'm going to say how to write the local variable is update context. So I'm going to say update context. And this is how we write it. So this is the first thing you should learn. Update context is going to have a open and closing bracket, the normal brackets, Then inside of it is going to have the curly braces. Then inside, the first thing that we are going to do, what do you want to name your variable? First, I want to name it Lola. So I will just say Lola White. Lola White. Then, so the name of my variable is what? Lola White. You can see it's flagging me because I have not given a value to my variable. So Lola White, to give a value, you put in this, and you now give it a value. What is my value? What do I want to give it? My X value. That's my color code, right? So this is it. Let us see if this is going to work. What have I said? I've said that Lola White is this color code here. So let us see if it's going to work, right? I am just going to come to screen 2. This is screen 2. Remember, okay, so let us insert another text label. So this text label is inside of screen 2, and I'm going to name it screen 2, just so that when we come to screen 2, we know that it is screen 2 because the field property is the same thing. Screen 2. Awesome. So we have it here. Let's make it a little bit big. 15. Bold. So this is just for us to know that this is screen 2. All right. So remember that after this class, you can actually pause. You can pause, you can rewatch this video and pause just so that you see what I'm doing. Awesome. So this is screen 1 and this is screen what? Screen 2. So what I want to say is on, I've already said on visible of my screen, set that to that value. So if I come to screen 1, I know that Lola White is now this value. So let us see if it's working. So if I go to this, so I've selected this particular text box. Let me delete this one so it will not confuse us. So I've selected this particular text box. So this label control. And what am I doing? I'm going to go to the view property of the label control. And instead of this, I will just say Lola White. Oh, it's not working. Why is it not working? Let me see. Okay, so it's not seeing this as oops, let's see. Why is it not working? Why is it not working? All right. So one thing that we can do now is okay, let's try to fix this. So we will just say one sec, color value. So I make this mistake once in a while too. All right, and we'll give it that color value. What's Lola White again? Let's make it ash F F F F F F. Okay, so this should work now. So I've said unvisible, right? So I need to come here and come back. Unvisible of this, make it Lola White. So now it's working. Let's take it back so that you see exactly what I've done. So I'm deleting this again. I'm selecting another label control. So I bring this label control here and I go to the view property of this label control, view property, and I call for Lola White, and it's turning to white. So let's review what we've done again. On visible of this, how did we write it? Basically, what we did is, instead of us to come to each of these text, each of this label control, and go to the view property and be writing color value, what's that color value again? And say sorry, we need to put the ash, I guess. FFFFF 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yes. And close it. And say, okay, this is the color value. One thing you can just do, because you might not remember, so you just do it once. On the unvisible, I've set it to Lola White. So I can just come here and say Lola White. Come here again and say what? Lola White. Now, this is what? Oh, see, I'm writing Lola White inside of where? Inside of text. So text is not agreeing. So you need to go to where? The view property of whatever you want to change. So instead of this, take it away and say Lola White. Awesome. So now we have Lola White all across. I don't need to start typing a particular, because you might forget tomorrow, or say if I'm building this app for 2 weeks, I might forget that the color value is FFFFFF. So I'll just set it once and I can use it anywhere on this screen. Remember, local variable works where? Context of your screen, the particular screen that you have called it. So it will only work where? On screen 1. Okay, now let's go to screen 2 and we insert a text label. So this is a text label. Let's go to the view property and try to call Lola White. Is it going to work? See, he's not even seeing it. Lola. I'm typing Lola White. He can't see it. But let's go back to screen 1. This is screen 1. Insert a text label and go to the view property and say Lola. It's here, Lola White. Awesome. So it's going to see it, right? IntelliSense is going to bring it out. Power Apps knows that now you have Lola White where inside of screen 1, but it will not work in screen 2. So this guy is what? Local. You can say this guy is a local champion. It will only work. He's a king in screen 1, but screen 2, it will not work. Now, how can I set a value, right? A container and put a value. So anywhere I call it in the context of my application, whether I'm in screen 1 or I'm in screen 2, or say I'm in screen 3, I want to call this color now. For instance, I want to call this particular color. What do I do? This is my, let's look for, so the field property of my screen, this is it, right? So I'm just going to copy this guy. I don't want to come to screen 3 and be typing color value. So I might have forgotten the color value. So this is what you do. You come to the on start of your application. It means that, remember that what we did for the local variables, we have said that on start, on visible of this screen, do this. But instead, we are going to make this on start of the application. So instead of saying whenever this screen is visible, set this variable to be so, so, and so. So it will only be useful there. So instead, we are going to say on visible of my application, right? So it's called on start. Whenever my application starts, what do I want to do? I want to set this color value to be this. So if your customer, if they have one primary color, one secondary color, one tertiary color, sorry, are there tertiary colors? I think they are. So if they have different colors, 8 colors, 75 colors, all you just need to do is you can actually bring the color into Power Apps and name them. Let's do this. All right. So we are going to come into the on start. And first, one of the things we are going to say is we are going to say set. So you will see that the way you actually create a local variable is different from how you're creating a global variable. Local variable, I've created it by saying update context. Remember. So for on start, for the global variable, I'm going to create it by saying what? Set. Now, IntelliSense will already bring it for you. Say the name of a global variable. So this one, I want to set this, right? What do I do? First, what is the name of my application? So I can just say beautiful green. That's too long. I can say beauty. Beauty. So I want to name this beauty. So I'm just telling you that you can name it anything. So I want to name it beauty. Now, so what is the value that you want beauty to carry? That is the color code that I've copied. Remember, color value #34. So this is it. And you do this. Awesome. Now, what you need to do is to actually run your app on start. Run on start. It means that right now you have set it. But remember that you said it is on an event. What's the event? On start of my application. But your application is not just starting. Let's try this. I've set it, right? I go to screen 3. And this field, let's look for beauty. Are we going to find beauty? Yes, we are going to find beauty. But why is beauty not, beauty is meant to be green. You can see it's even telling you the data type of beauty is color. Why is beauty not bringing beauty? Why is beauty not showing green? The reason is because on the event that you have set, it has not happened. You said you want it to be what? On start of your application, and that has not happened. Your application has not started again. While you set it while it was already working. So what do we do? There's a way to fix that. You would come here and run on start. See, immediately I did run on start. What happened? He understood that you have said on start of the application, set beauty. And the color you are putting inside of beauty is what? This beautiful color here. Now, let's do this in the context of a real app. So I'm going to bring something very simple. So now what have we done? We have learned how to do local and global variable. So you might be asking, okay, do I only use local variable to set colors? Say my app the organization I'm building this application for has 75 different kind of colors. Yes, agree that I've stored them here. right? But this particular global local variable that we have done here is not really realistic. So let us now do what? I'm just going to go ahead and delete this. Delete this. We don't need them. We don't need them. We don't need them. So I'm going to leave this to tell us that we are learning what? Variable. And the variable we are learning is what? Local and global variable. Our screen two, we have this. I'm going to remove it. So what we want to quickly do now, we want to actually build an app, and we'll be using the local variable in another context, in a very beautiful context. What do we want to do? We want to create, let me hold on. So I'm just going to come back to you guys and see what you are saying. How are we doing? Do we understand what I'm doing? Do we understand what I'm doing? So I said on start of my application. So what does update context do? What does what does update context do? Okay, I see that David has already answered all of this. Awesome, guys. Are we good? Should we go ahead? Should we hold on? Should we go ahead? Should we hold on? Should we go ahead? Should we hold on? Let me hear from you. I'm going to go on a short break and tell me if we should go ahead and build all of this in the context of a very simple app. And yes. So tell me, should I go ahead? Are you lost? Should I catch you up somewhere? Let's go on a very, 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 very short break. Awesome, guys. So let us go ahead and build an application. So I see that some people say, let's go ahead. It will sync. Let's go. Yes, it's going to sync. I like that energy. So let's go ahead. Now, remember, anytime you have your screens, this is something we should do. Rename your screens. So I'm going to just rename this guy and say purpose. So I like, oh, I didn't spell it well. Purpose, right? That's the purpose of today. We want to learn variable, local and what? And global variable. So what are we saying now? We are saying that our screen two, this is not what we want to do anymore. So now we have learned uh connectors. So one of the connectors that we have learned is SharePoint, right? We've looked at how we can actually connect to our database where it is sitting exactly. So now today, these are one of the things that I'm going to do. Number one, we did it the other time, but we're going to do it again so that it will what? It will sync. So we are looking for the image control. So I'm going to be showing you more connectors, right? You have seen the SharePoint connector. There's another connector that I want to show you today. So you have used sample, you have used image before, but you have actually not used this particular connector in the context of this training. So I want to show you how to actually use it. So I have my image here. Remember what we do to image. I have 100 and 100. I can just make this 70, width 70, height 70. Remember, we want to make it very round and beautiful, just like what we have here. So what do? We make the border radius 70 as well. Basically, what we've done is 70 plus 70 is 140. Divide by 2, 70. So your radius is going to be round. This is going to be round, right? So I'm just going to bring it and put it here. I want this to show anybody that comes into the application. So what we would have done, we would have done user, right? That was what I've shown us earlier. Showed us this like a while ago. Say user and bring in the image. It automatically show this person's image. But we want to do something different. What we want to do is we will add data. We want to bring in a particular connector, which is the Office 365 connector. Do I still remember the name? Office 365. Office 365. Oh, I don't remember the name. So, but I know it start with office. So, I brought in something else. So I will just say office. All right. So instead I brought in office graph, but I can remove that. I'll say office and I'll look for, yeah, this is what I'm looking for. Office 365 users, right? So this is what I'm looking for and I'll select this. So this is because, I have my details already on, Office 365 users. Of course, Office 365 is where all of this is, right? Office 365. So what I want to do is, instead of saying, um, user, I want to say Office 365 users. So I'm going to call it, I will say Office 365 users dot. I will now say my profile, right? So I'm saying Office 365, oh, bring my profile. So it will now ask you, okay, your profile. There are a lot of things in your profile. Which one do you want? I'll say dot. Okay. And I have, um, so I have CT, I have all of this. Oh, is my image on Office 365? Let me check. Display name, giving name, you can see all the things we have on Office 365. Let me check. My image is not here. So my image is actually not here. So this is what we can do. For image, we are going to leave it as what? We are going to leave it as users. But we will still use Office 365. So we'll leave it as user, open and close brackets, right? Dot image. Awesome. So we'll now insert a text label, right? So remember that one of the things that we did was the text label. We did user, right? And we brought in the full name. So we don't want to do that. This is what we are going to do. We are going to say Office 365, just what we did now. Office 365 users dot my profile. So I'm saying Office 365, get me my profile. My profile, close, dot. Now I don't want my full name, right? That is something Office will not give me. That's something user. If I use user will not give me that. So if I just say giving name, so it's trying to fetch my giving name. Be fast. All right. So I've said Office 365 dot my profile dot giving name, and this is Omolola. It's giving me Omolola instead of Omolola Alfred. So this is another thing. I want to take it higher. I've done this. I did it with users. So I'm doing it again so that you know it sticks. So this is what we are going to do. We're going to come here and say hello. So we are going to say hello. Remember, hello should be what? Hello is what type of is what data type. Hello is a string. So put it in double quotes and say hello, right? You can see it's flagging me because it does not understand all these things. Hello is on its own. Lola, what's this Office 365 users that you have put with me? So one of the ways to add whatever the result of his 365 is giving me, which is my giving name, Omolola, one of the ways to add it to hello will be what? Ampersand. I told us that other day. I want it to stick. Ampersand. So I will say hello, comma. I will give it space so that there will be space between hello and Omolola. So what I've done now is I've said hello. Join the result of Office 365 dot my profile dot giving name with hello. So let us make this a little bit bold and play. We have hello Omolola. Awesome. So we'll just bring this. So we'll just bring this here. We put this beside it. Now, another thing that we want to do, so we are using connectors today, right? Another thing that we want to do is we want to add in SharePoint. We want to add in SharePoint. For what? For data. SharePoint. So my data is inside this my SharePoint, and I saved it here, Learning Canvas app. So my data to show, so what I basically want to do now is I want to be able to receive, I want to be able to receive users value, right? Remember, we are still trying to learn. You might be thinking, okay, Lola, all these things that you've done, how am I able to use these things to learn um local variable? We are starting with local variable. How will I use this to learn local variable? Let me show you. So I'm going to insert. I'm bringing a simple form, edit form. So David is going to go ahead after today. So it's not going to be today. Today, all you are learning is just local and global variable. And you've also learned another connector, which is the Office 365 users. That's your connector that you've learned today. So you brought in Office 365 users. You have also learned about SharePoint, of course, that you have learned before. So you have Office 365, you have SharePoint, and it's connecting to what? Office 365 is helping you to be able to have access to some of the details, some of your users' detail on Office 365. So if you want to get other things that user will not provide, just bring in Office 365 and say, what are the data that this person has stored where on Office 365? Um let me try to bring out this data. So like I said, giving name is not where, is not a user. And that's why I brought in Office 365. So I can just get the given name. Now, the next thing I've done is I've went and I brought in SharePoint. So SharePoint is so that I can connect to my data. All right. So you can see that my form is saying that this form isn't connected to any data yet. So what do I do? All right. I would go to data source here and connect it to, I'm not connected to Office 365. I'm connecting it to SharePoint. All right. So this is my SharePoint list, right? Remember that we had said that attachment will do what? Your attachment is by default. Anytime you create a SharePoint list, your attachment will be there, right? We have attachments, we have requests, we have description, we have staff name, and we have title. Okay. So for this one, what I'm just going to be using. So I've seen some questions. Some of you guys have asked us some questions. Okay, if I go to my SharePoint list and I add other data, I add more columns. Will I be able to see it in my application? One of the things that you will do, let's just quickly do that and see. If I add, will I be able to see it? Okay, I don't have SharePoint open, so I'll not just do that because of time. But if I do add it, this is what you ought to do. Come to Learning Canvas app here and click on refresh. It will refresh that data source. Remember, your connector is connecting SharePoint. So you are already connected to that SharePoint list. If you add to that SharePoint list, all you need to do, come to your app and refresh your database. So you are refreshing this guy now because you have connected this SharePoint and you have said, is this particular list I'm connecting to? So now you have this here. But what if I have so many things on my database, but I don't want to show everything in my app? Or yes, so you can do that. Come here to field here, click on edit, right? So let's go back to tree view so that you understand. Select your form. That's anytime you want to manipulate anything, select it first. So select your form. I've selected my form. I go to edit fields. What do I want to do? I don't want to see staff name. Remember that for what we did with David, we were using title, right? We're not using staff name. This staff name that I've created, you can have it in your database because we'll be using it later. It's a choice data type. Staff name, sorry, not a choice. It's a person data type, right? I'm trying as much as possible to be fast so that we can cover so much. So it's a person data type. So we have staff name. I'm going to remove it. We'll not be using it, right? Attachment, I don't want to use it. I'll remove it. What do I want to use? I want to use title. I want to use description, and I want to use request. So this is what we can do, right? Title, description, and request. Now we've said snap to 3 column. Why are you snapping to 3 column? You can snap to 3 column when you have so many things to show and you want to show everything on a particular page. You can snap to 3 column, but this one I'm just going to snap to 1 column. right? You can see I have this here. I can make it smaller, right? I can do this. I can do this and do this. Awesome. So now I have title, description, and request. There are so many things that I can actually do to this guy as it is. You can change all these data, you can change all these colors and all of that. So this is it. You can put in your data, but it's saying no item display. Why is it showing me no item display? Remember, what is the type of form that you brought in when we're bringing it in? It is an edit form. You can see it there saying you have actually brought in an edit form. So as the name is edit form, what does it do? It helps you to be able to edit data. But when you click on play now, it's saying no item to display because there's no data that you're actually editing. So this is what you will do. Although this form is an edit form that meant to use to edit data, but I can manipulate it and be able to use it to receive data. So you will come to default mode and say, it is an edit form, but I want to change it. I want to use this form to receive data. So you will turn it to new, right? But you see, because it's an edit form, it is originally an edit form. When you save your data, it will go back to its normal, what's it called? So, it will be telling you there's no data to edit. So what you are going to do, number one, I want to be able to submit data to the database. One, what will I do? I will insert a button. David showed us all of this. We are doing a recap so that you understand. And like I said, we are taking it a step further, and you're going to see it now. So now I have brought in a button. I need to change the name of this button to save, or let's say submit. So now we will say that I want to submit, right? I want to be able to submit. Who knows what we can actually put to be able to submit a form? Who knows that the function that we ought to put to submit? Also, David, please help me to put in the chat box the list of functions that we have in Power Apps. So just help me get that document and put in the chat box so that they can see. Most times you might not really know all the functions in your head, and you don't need to, right? You forget some of these things, and that's why Microsoft has actually helped us. Microsoft Learn, we have all of these things, right? There's a documentation for you to be able to check all the functions, and you can say, okay, what do I want to do? Oh, I can see this one here. Which one can I use to submit? If you search, you will see it there. Let me come here. So I asked the question. You have not answered me. I'm waiting for you guys. I want to submit my form. What do I use to submit my form? This is my form. I want to be able to submit it. How do I submit my form? How do I submit my form? On select. How do I submit my form? I'm already typing it. How do I submit my form? Hey, nobody has answered. How do I submit my form? Come on, guys. Okay, so submit form because of our time. So submit form. Now I need to put in the name of my form. So submit form. Which form should I submit? I want to put in form 1. Form 1. And I close it. So now I'll be able to submit form 1. But I need to say that because if you click on submit, what is going to happen is that once I click on submit now, so let's try to submit data. Title, Omolola Alfred. Description, I am learning Canvas app. Okay, request, I want laptop, and I submit this. Oh, now I've submitted and it's now showing me no item to display. Remember, I told us that once you do this, right, you have submitted this form, it will go back to how it was. You are the one turning it to a new form. It will go back to how it was. So this is what you should do. Go to the properties of your submit form. You have properties of your form rather. you have different kind of properties of your form. Yesterday, David told us, on Saturday, David told us about the properties, the event that would happen, right? On success of your form, you can decide to now be turning this form back to what? To a new form. Give me a new form. Give me a new form. Once this is submitted, give me a new form. Another thing that you can do, you can say that on, yes, so you can, so let's go to the on success, select the form, and go to the on success. And what are you trying to do on the success? We are trying to say new form. I want to turn into a new form. I'll just say new form and I'll put in this form. This form is what? Form 1. Remember, you ought to rename your form, but because of our time, form 1, close. Awesome. So we have this form, right? So what do we do? Let me play this up. Oh, it's still going to tell me this guy actually. Because I have already submitted and when I submitted it, what happened? It has already turned to that. So what I need to do now is I will just come, select the form again, change it back to edit form. I play, take the form again and turn it to what? New form. Let's play it now. Awesome, we have it now. So each time, so let's type in another thing and say David, trainer, and choose data. It needs data because it's a trainer and we submit. What happened? Once it was successful, it brought back a new form. Okay, so the next thing we want to do now, I want to say that each time, so I have requests and I have leave, but in this my organization, I actually have another app for leave. So I'm saying that I want to say that anytime, okay, anytime, okay, let's not even do that. That would be a little bit difficult. So let's do something simple. We want to create a simple pop-up, right? And I want this pop-up to to come up anytime I submit. All right. However, it's possible for you to submit an application and your application has not successfully submitted to database. So what we want to do is we want to say that on success of our form, show me pop-up. Takes us to the second thing we'll be learning today as we wrap up. We'll go back to purpose and we'll update purpose. The second thing that we are learning today is what? Is Boolean. Boolean data type. All right. Now, you see, Boolean data type actually takes in yes or no, true or false. Let's just leave it as true or false. It takes in true or false, right? Is this thing true? Is this thing false? Is this thing true? Is this thing false? So what are we going to do? We are going to now store true or false inside a variable, right? True or false, that's the value we are going to store in a variable. The reason is because your visibility, the visibility property of this of anything you are showing, right? It takes in true or false. What are we trying to do? Remember, we are trying to create a pop-up. Okay, so we are going to go to screen 2. We want to create a pop-up. This is the first thing you need to do. Let me teach you how to actually create a pop-up. Go to insert, type in container. I've selected my container. I'll make my container I'll make it cover my form. It should still show my, okay, yeah, it should still show this. I'll make it cover my form. Okay, so I have my container already on this application. The next thing I want to do is I want to change the field property of my container. Remember that field property of your container, um how do we change it? Go to the field property, select field property, and put in some RGBA. Now, if you know the color, right? If you know the color value, you can just put in the color value. So I know the RGBA by heart. I want to actually make it black. If I do one, this container will be black. So I have a black container sitting on my application. What do I want to do? Select this. I don't want it to be this black. I want it to just be, a little bit black. All right. So I have 0.5. I want it to be darker. I have 0.7. So this is awesome. So what do I want to do? Let me just let it cover everything. So I want that anytime you select submit button, let anything that is inside this container show. What should we do? The first thing that we need to do, I'm going to turn off the visibility of this container. Visibility takes in true or false. Okay, let's check the container. Select the container and go to visible. Property what? Visible. You see false. So you know that your container takes in true or false. And that is why we are going to create a local variable that will house true or false. And we are going to be changing the value of the local variable anytime you select submit button. Now, I know that right now you might be saying, what's she doing? What's she doing? I don't understand. You need to calm down. Anytime you are doing Power Apps, right? Or anytime you are coding at all, anything at all that you are doing, you need to understand that the first thing you're trying to do is you're trying to solve a problem. All right. So logic is one thing that you need to really understand in Power Apps, not just, I want to really learn how to write this function. Logic. How can I, when you know how you think you can do something, you can always browse Google. You can even talk to ChatGPT. But what if you actually don't know what you need to do? What happens? So now what you need to do is, remember, this is our container. Our container is currently false, right? So this is what we are going to do. Anytime I select my submit button, right? I want my container to, I want the value of my container to now be what? To now be true. So this is what we are going to do. We are going to close this guy and we will say, remember, how do we write? So when you want to write multiple lines of code in Power Apps, this is what you do. This is one line, and I've ended it with what? Semicolon. Once I've ended it with semicolon, it means that Power Apps will read it as this is one line. I go to the second line. This is the next thing I want to do. I will just say update. Update context. Remember, this is how we write local variable. Update context. And I will say the value of my context. What do I want to say? I will say pop-up. Okay. Let me just write this in a simple way. I'll say pop-up, right? And what do I want to name? Remember, we said that we want to put in true or false. So anytime you select this submit button, I want my pop-up to be what? To be true. So I'm storing the true value inside of the pop-up. Very simple. Update context. I put in the braces, the brackets. Then I put in curly braces inside and I say pop-up. The value of pop-up is what? True. The value of pop-up is what? True. Remember, I've set the value of pop-up to be true. So each time that so now what you need to do is pop-up. You will go and write in pop-up inside of your container. What do you want to use the pop-up value to do? To change when your container will be visible. So you need to select your container and select the visibility of your container, right? And instead of typing false, type in pop-up. Okay, let's try this out. So I play. I've said submit, even though I did not put any what's it called? Even though I did not put any value inside. So it's trying to submit. So you can see saying there's an error here because I did not put any value submitting to my database. But my visibility of my container is now true because I've said anytime I submit, anytime I press this button, oh, let my visibility be true. So now a container is sitting and is covering my app. How will I take this guy away? So this is actually what we want to do. All right. So this is actually what we want to do. Yeah. Because we submitted an empty value. We know. So because we submitted an empty value, that's why it's flagging us like this. So we are going to undo this later. So now what we want to do now is our container, remember, is a pop-up, right? We want to put some awesome things inside our container pop-up. So now we are going to just place some things inside this pop-up. So I'll just say true so that we can see it, right? So we need to add things inside our container. The first thing we are going to add, because our time is far spent, we're just going to add I'm going to add a label. Successfully submitted. All right. Bold. Make the color of your text. I'm making the color of my text white, right? So at least people can see it. Or let's make it yellow. All right. So people can see it. Green and yellow. Or some color. All right. And I'll just make it bigger. I'll make the text now bigger. So we have successfully submitted, but I also want to be able to close this pop-up, right? So this is what I'm going to do. We've been using button. Another thing that we can just use, okay. Another thing that we can just use is icon. Icon. So if you come to icons here, you see different icons that we have in Power Apps. So I'm just going to bring in the cancel icon, right? And I will just put it here. I'll also make the color of this cancel icon yellow, right? So that we can see what we are doing. So now the property, one of the properties of the icon is also on select. So this is the logic that we want to do. When I select my button, I want my pop-up to be what? To be true. When I select this X, I want my pop-up to be false. So it's simple. I can just come here. One of the simple things that I can just do, I will just come to my button. This is the button that I'm using to do my pop-up, and I will just copy this guy. Copy, right? I'm not doing anything new. And I will come to this icon and I'll paste it there. However, the value that I want to be setting, anytime I select this, I want it to be false. Awesome. So the next thing that I'm going to do now is I would turn the visibility of my container back to what? Pop up. Okay. So I'm just going to go ahead. Okay. I don't know why my button is crying. Let me copy this guy out. I'll delete this button. So I've copied the code out, deleted the button, and I'm bringing back the button because we don't have so much time to start setting a button to stop crying. So turn this to save, and on select of the button, I've copied everything and I'll put it back. So I'm saying on select of this button, save, submit my form, and update context to true, right? But yeah, so submit my form and update my context to true. So now let us play our simple app. Oops. So this is one thing we have done. Our um our label, the label that is showing us successfully submitted inside our container. But this beautiful icon is not inside the container. So Control X, cut it out, right? Select your container. Okay. I have my container selected and I'll Control V. You can see now that if I close this container, I cannot see that icon anymore. It means that these two guys are now sitting inside of my container. So this is what I know I'm very fast so that we'll get all of these things. But after this class, what do I want you to do? I want you to play back this video and try out this that I'm showing you. So now I'm playing. I've played my app and I'll just say Omolola Alfred. Description, that trainer. For those that don't understand Yoruba, it means senior trainer. Let me just hype myself a little. And I'll say data and I'll click on save. Awesome. So I've clicked on save now. And what is happening? I've clicked on save and it's showing me successfully submitted and it's showing me my icon. It's also showing me save because I did not, my save is inside of my container. So my save is meant to be on my screen with my container covering it, right? So until I do this, once I do this, I'm turning my pop-up back to what? Back to false. And that's just the logic. All right. Let's go over this a little and we'll call it a day. So your pop-up is sitting on your container, right? So if I come here and I manually turn my visibility to true because I want to see the container, right? This is my where's my label button? So I can just look for this guy and reorder it and send it back one time. All right. So now my container is sitting on my save button. So what I did is I reorder it. How it's standing. I want it to be sitting like this, not like this. So reorder, send to back, and that was what I did. So let's just go over everything that we've done again. So I turned this back to pop up. So this is what I did. I brought in a container, right? And I'm going to rename my container pop up. Pop up. Okay. So my container is what? Pop up. Inside my container, I have an icon that is seated somewhere here. You can decide and say, this icon, I don't want you here. I want you somewhere here. You can do that. You can say your label. This is your label here. And they are all inside your container. What? Pop up. Now you created a local variable, meaning that your local variable pop-up will only work in the context of this screen, right? So you said pop-up or anytime, remember, on select. So on select, the first thing it will do is to submit a form. Which form? Form 1. On select again, what will it do? So once it submits the form, the next thing it's going to do is going to turn your pop-up. Your pop-up is what? A variable. It is a container holding what? Holding the value true, right? Since you know that the visibility property of your container is either true or false. So this is what you do. You put in your pop-up inside the visible property of your container. The name of your container is pop-up. So I've put in the visible. So this is the visibility property. You can see the same property. So the visibility property is what? Pop-up. What's the value for pop-up again? It changes on 2 events. The first event is when you select your button, your pop-up will change to what? To true. It will show the container. The container is blocking the form, right? You have an icon, X, on this particular form. What is happening? So you are saying that you are turning the visibility property again. Anytime. So let's do it again. Play. And we say, I have Pius. I saw Pius. Pious. Description, students. What do you want? You want data. And I save. As I'm saving now, I've turned the visibility property of my container to what? To true. I want to take it away so that I can submit another data for another person. What do? I come here and I select. I've said on select to turn the pop-up to what? To false. So the pop-up is what? Is a container. It's holding true and false. The true and false is what is affecting your visibility. And that's how to actually build a pop-up. You would have seen pop-up on applications. When they click on submit, a pop-up comes up. What is it doing? It's showing something. It's closing something. When you click on close, what happens? The pop-up disappears. They are using a variable to control that. The variable is happening on what? On the event of what you do. The event is what? On select. On select of this event, turn it to true. On select of this event, turn it to false. Now, I'm going to go to the comment, get your names. I'm just going to impute your names in my database to do true or false, true or false, true or false. So let's do that. All right. Awesome, guys. Drop your names. If you want me to have your name in my database, drop your names. Let's go. Guys, drop your names. I can see your names here, but I want you to type and drop in your names so that I can type in your name and drop it in my database. So I can see Yemi Sodiq. So this is what I'll do. I'll go back to Power Apps quickly. And I will say Yemi Sadiq. The description, I will say UK students. So just trying to have just a little bit of fun. The request is what? Is data. No, Yemi does not need data. Yemi needs leave. So I will save. As I've saved, what have I done? I have turned the visibility property to what? To true. So it shows. If I do this, I've turned the visibility property to what? To close, to false. So it goes away. Title, I come in here again and I say Shade Black. Shade Black needs a laptop. Shade Black is a good student and she needs a laptop. I save. The same thing. Visibility, true. Visibility, false. So tell me, how has the class been for you? We have come to the end of the class. We have learned variable, local variable. We use for pop-up. We use it to, do colors in the context of our screen. Then we did a global variable. Our global variable, the name of our global variable is what? Beauty. And what did we store inside of beauty? We stored this very beautiful color green inside of beauty. And what have we done? We have used the beauty across our screens to actually beautify our screen. So guys, this right here, we've come to the end of this class. And we took 16 minutes extra just to about 13 minutes extra just to show you all that we are doing. So thank you so much, guys, for joining us. Hi, David. What do you think about the class?
Yes, yeah, thank you. It was fantastic. That was wonderful, to be honest. I've been enjoying the guys' comments. A lot of people are claiming Agba students. A lot of people are claiming they want to go on leave, apparently. So yeah, it's been very enjoyable. The variables stuff that you showed, it's very interesting, especially the pop-ups. I'm sure that people are always excited for pop-ups. Like I'm sure that you've been on all kinds of websites or apps and you say, "Well, like wondering how there's to do these pop-ups, how there's to make it work." So yeah, it's pretty much this simple, to be honest. It's just true or false, right? It shows, it doesn't show true or false, and it just sets the variable, and that's just the way it works. Honestly, the same method I use in Power Apps, trust me, it's the same thing that I use in JavaScript. The same thing that I use in any other thing. It's the same idea. You have a pop-up shows, then you have a variable that you turn off, turn true, turn to false, that allows you to show or not to show. So yeah, it's fantastic. I'm sure a lot of people enjoyed themselves. They learned a lot. So yeah, again, this is just this is the four already. So we are like halfway. Actually, we are halfway through already, right? We're halfway through. So and we've already covered a lot. We covered forms, we covered galleries, we covered variables, we covered data type. So it's quite a lot. And again, I just want to encourage all the students that best thing is just to practice. Just practice, practice, practice. That's the best. There are a couple of questions I saw based on the previous class. What I would do is that if you are in the WhatsApp group, we have a WhatsApp group for the Power Platform community. I would try to answer as much of those questions on that platform, right? So I saw one or two questions, so there's no problem. So thank you, Lola. That was fantastic.
Thank you so much, David. I love what I'm hearing. So let me just quickly say, Yemi Sadiq, you are a student. Don't worry. So now, guys, from everything David has said, David has told us that we should do what? We should practice. So imagine when we get to day 7. I will not come and be teaching you this is how to write variable. We'll just say we are building an app. Do you know what we'll have in the app? We'll have screens, we'll have forms, we'll have variables. You see pop-up, different pop-ups, you see gallery. Now it will turn to a very big app. How did we do it? We did it step by step. So now you should actually have like 2, 3 apps doing simple things. This one is showing you variables by day 7, and we are putting all these things together. Emmanuel, you're saying that when I learn all this, if you start now and you quickly go and learn the 3 things that we've done, day 1, day 2, day 3, and you learn day 4, by day 7, I'm telling you, you're gonna be bragging. Why? Because you'll be able to do all these things simply. And remember, the essence of Power Apps is so that you can quickly build a simple application or even complex app. It depends on what you know. It's logic. You build an application for organization. So instead of using JavaScript or something that will take you so much time, can I quickly do it in Power Apps and make it simple? And that's why organizations need you. And that's why they will look for you if you learn all this. All right. So I'm rooting for you guys, Emmanuel, Yemi Sadiq, Pius. I want you guys to go and create an app. Put pop-up. Any app that you are creating now, be putting pop-up. That's how you learn it. Do it. Put anywhere, whether it's needed or put pop-up. And once we get to day 7, day 8, and all of that, we'll now show you where you need this, where you need that, where you need this, where you
Okay,
need
let's
that. Thank you
let's be
so much,
focused.
guys. Yeah. All right. Yes, Ade is there. I see you. I see you guys. We're gonna see again tomorrow. Tomorrow is day what? Day 5. So day 5, we are doing something else. See you guys, and it's a bye from us.
Bye
Bye,
bye.
guys. Bye.